Yo, welcome to the Game On Financial Podcast. My name is Gary Alexander. I'm at your local tax guy. I'm here with my co-host,
Joseph Lingle, manager, Game On Financial.
Perfect. Got an awesome setup today. A lot to talk about. We're going to dive right in. I'm going to let Joseph kind of lead the conversation from, going from topic to topic like we normally do. So, well, how's your week going so far? Before we
Week's
get into
going good.
it,
Week's going good. Yeah. Been consistent in the gym. Feeling good.
Love
Getting
that.
excited for TwitchCon. Some travel coming up. So excited for that.
More people posting about TwitchCon too, which is exciting. It's coming up.
That's right. So good there. I'm thinking we're going to get through our October 15th deadline pretty easily. You just kind of updated us where we're at with that. Follow some tax people on Twitter, and they're all talking about 20% still left to go, 15%. We're like, we got 20 returns. That's it. So
and even those have dwindled since the last time we spoke, which was like yesterday. So it's awesome.
So
we're moving.
We're on top of it. Some new clients coming on, and sales calls, stuff like that. So yeah, things are going well.
Everything flowing like it should be. We'll keep bringing this up. We'll harp on it more at the end as well too. But for TwitchCon, we'll be there. We'll fly in Thursday night. We'll leave Monday. If you're there on TwitchCon and you're watching this now on YouTube or you're watching it live, obviously drop a comment, like, subscribe, whatever. It doesn't matter. Let us know you're going to be there, though. We'd like to talk with everybody we can while we're there.
I'm excited to meet as many people as we can. I think we're definitely, linking up with a few kind of people that we work with in the space, other professionals.
Yeah.
But definitely some creators that we work with, hopefully to meet them. And just in general, it'll be my first TwitchCon, so I'm excited to experience it.
Yeah, it'll be free flow for us too. We don't have a booth or anything like that, so we'll be just kind of walking around trying to scope out the scene and see what we can get into. So that'll be TwitchCon. We'll hit more on that as we go through, though. Really excited about that. We have, I guess, 3 weeks, so super excited.
It'll be here before we know it for sure.
Yep.
Let's jump into it. We have quite a few news topics to cover. This is not a news show, but we do like to hit on the interesting news that's going on in the scene, and we got quite a few things this week. We did miss last week. For all those of you who maybe do tune into the live stream, we did miss last week.
I'm sorry.
My boy Garrett was sick. He was out of commission.
I was out of commission.
That's all right, though. So we're back today. So we kind of got like a couple weeks worth of stuff, and our main topic today being surrounding Kick. That stuff kind of happened last week, but there's been some responses since, and still kind of a talking point of the industry. So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. First news thing, though, Microsoft had a huge leak happen.
Yep.
Xbox, well, not Xbox specifically, Microsoft specifically is in a ongoing case with the Federal Trade Commission for their purchase of Activision Blizzard. And in that court filing, or in that court case, there was filings that basically got leaked of like internal data showing there's a new Xbox coming out, which, I mean, obviously we know there's a new Xbox coming. It's just like anything.
This seems pretty, like, it's detailing quite a bit. Like,
a lot of stuff got leaked.
Xbox is coming, but we don't know the details that we're getting out of this case. That's crazy.
Yeah. So it was pretty crazy. I mean, I'm sure, CEO there and stuff wasn't too happy about it. No. Article I read, there's some sources saying that, they basically tried to downplay it, but I think it was some pretty, new Xbox controller coming out, some stuff, like you said, some cool stuff. So
yeah, the state, I mean, if you think about like, this right now, something like this with just the court documents being released and stuff like that and it leaking through that method, usually it's like data mining and stuff like that. And that's become so commonplace in games and whatnot that this leaking is almost like, go figure, like, who cares? But the thing is like the way this was leaked is very disappointing because like this is in a court case that all this should be, not sealed away, but this is private information that should be kept private. It's a court case. This isn't for everybody to hear.
Right.
And yet here we are. That really does suck for Microsoft, right? Because that kind of just takes the air out of a big launch that they may have had planned.
Yeah, for sure. But it is exciting, I guess, for those who, do play Xbox or excited for the new stuff coming that they are working on. Obviously, pretty cool stuff. Next on the list is TSM and LCS. Basically TSM announcing that they're leaving LCS. Not a surprise. I think they had kind of announced previously that they'd be leaving. One of many teams to leave the LCS. Yep. I read that they have been in the LCS since 2011, which is crazy. Long time. Obviously, that league's still going on, but I think a lot of the major teams have moved on.
Yep.
And it's just, it's what we always talk about. Esports suffers, and these organizations sometimes have to make a a decision they don't want to and move on.
Yeah, I hate that week to week we get on here and talk about this, but it's, until there's a better monetization strategy around esports as a whole, you're going to see this. It's just going to keep happening. And I hate that because these teams with these storied histories, now TSM leaving, and it's all over the place. It's across every esport, like actual competitive esport that there is. And you just hate to see it. I mean, I hate reporting on it because I'd rather come with good news of an esport org that's like really not just making a difference. They're all making a difference, but doing it in a sustainable way where they can continue to do it for more than just a decade. In grand scheme of things, being active since 2011, it's not a long time, right? I mean, it seems like a long time to us because 2011 was a long time ago, relative to a lot of things, but in the business world, that's just not a long time. So
yeah, and I think the LCS is probably, I don't know about Dota, but I think LCS might be the oldest league, the league that's been around the longest. I mean, you think about things like COD and stuff. People were competing probably back in that era, but it was barely happening. The LCS was actually a league back then, so it's been around a long time, and
I guess esports as a whole, though, just hasn't been around in the grand scheme of things. Has not been around that long.
That's right. So, yeah. But, no, I mean, the landscape's ever-changing. I do think, with new games and stuff, you see it, changing, with CS and some of these other games. It's still going on, but some of these teams just aren't able to, or orgs aren't able to have a team.
Yep.
So, it's interesting, but not surprising nonetheless. I'm going to let you talk about this next one a little bit. Destiny 2.
Oh, yeah.
Game-breaking glitch. Talk a little bit about that. I obviously saw the clips and stuff, but I'm not a big Destiny guy. I know you know.
Yeah, I still follow the scene a lot. I used to play a ton, but now I haven't played as much just because we've been busy with work. But, yeah, I mean, game-breaking glitch in that, and you can look at the tweet. We'll have to reference Jake Lucky's tweet about it and everything. But if you look at the scene as a whole, they were very disappointed because this glitch led to just completely busted servers across the board, and people couldn't play the game. And it was just very frustrating. Just something that came out of nowhere that basically put a halt on anything you could do. You couldn't play trials over the weekend. You couldn't play competitively. You couldn't really. I mean, there were queue times involved, so people couldn't just even log in to play the game. You hate to see it. I mean, it's just like something silly. And the problem with this, honestly, was not that the glitch happened. It's that the glitch then affected the servers, and the servers went down, and it was down for an extended period of time. So, everybody wants something quick, and the game wasn't coming back up quick. And even when it did come up, if you got in, it was still busted, so it wasn't even worth getting into play. It just sucked all around. So, Destiny 2, I don't feel like hits the highlights. I mean, even Jake, who reports on, everything esports gaming, he doesn't report a lot on D2 just because there's not a huge competitive scene. So just seeing it get put in the limelight for a little while is awesome, but at the same time it's for a terrible reason. I hate that.
Destiny definitely, I feel like, has a small tight-knit community around it, so it definitely sucks when something like that negative happens because it's already a small community there anyway. And then you just negative news around it. It's not good, not a good look. But
it sucks. So I think every what's the word I'm looking for? Every company, every developer is just strained right now for resources. When this happens, they couldn't get a quick fix out there. It just goes to show Destiny 2's been going for years now. I think Destiny 2 launched in what year was it? 2016, 17, somewhere around there?
I was thinking 15, 16,
Yeah. So, yeah, it sucks. I mean, nothing good about it. But outside of the other news topics we have, that's probably the lightest one.
Yeah.
It's just a glitch that busted the servers.
For sure. Next was the new iPhone, right? So we saw the new iPhone come out. A bunch of people were hyped about it. I don't think we highlighted it on our podcast a couple weeks ago. But, everybody's posting their new pictures of their nice new phone, all excited. And then what happens? It comes out that
literally just folds it and breaks it.
Barely bends it, and it just cracks the entire glass. Basically,
titanium, they say.
Yeah. And I think the replacement glass is like $250. So.
J-Man, what are your thoughts on it?
It was the iPhone that breaks is like the most expensive one. It's the iPhone 15 Pro Max.
It's like $1,200, isn't it?
Yeah, all the other ones passed the bend test, and that was the only one that actually failed it. So. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So you get the most expensive phone and it just breaks. It's like, bro.
Yeah, I will say the camera. I was watching content on on Twitter from Jayhawk Shoots.
Yeah.
And so obviously a great photographer, Jayhawk is. So the quality of the camera itself is incredible. I mean, it truly, I mean, it gets better year to year, but these are, I mean, he was taking pictures of like the Chicago skyline and stuff, and he had like one picture that was like a 5x zoom, and it looked incredible. And he said there was no editing or anything like that. I was like, damn, that is really good.
I feel like a lot of the improvements now with the iPhone, you know, year to year is mainly the camera. I mean, I feel like they're not really changing a whole lot now. It's kind of goes back to, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
But and I mean, the iPhone, obviously Apple has been extremely successul.
Well, that's the meme. I mean, we're releasing the iPhone 15, which is exactly like the iPhone 14 with a slightly better camera.
And it's
you know?
more expensive, and then what happens? Everyone goes and buys it. So, but yeah,
you have to, because like now my iPhone's battery is about to stop working completely, so I'm going to have to buy the new one. Unfortunately,
I think I have the XR, which is was the 10, and it's been 4 or 5 series ago.
I think I have the 10. Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. So
I had the 10, and it took me. I mean, it lasted for a little bit, but yeah, the battery was not working on it.
We just need company iPhone purchases now. Like we all need the upgrade.
Yep. Can somebody get on that?
Yeah. Okay.
No,
you have a credit card. You have the credit card. I'm going to see the charge come across and be like, Joseph, what are we doing here?
Oh my goodness!
I bought us all iPhones.
Right. Next on the list for news, kind of one of our last topics for the news is Xdefiant. Right. So. Xdefiant came out actually today. They're doing a public test. I think it goes live at 3 Eastern, 12
We met
Pacific.
this morning. I didn't even realize that was today though.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So they're doing a public test. It's only a 6-hour test. And the reason we're covering this being even important is because we've talked a lot about Xdefiant, being excited for it. We like FPS games, so over here, so we're excited about it. And it's been delayed, and they said summer, and then they said late summer, and now it's end of September. No launch, and they're kind of losing their window to launch, as COD will be here in 2 months. And a lot of people upset about that. I mean, obviously this test seems, positive because hopefully they're getting close. But I definitely think I've been seeing a lot on Twitter just about people basically saying, okay, they missed their opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you think about it, if they can get it in very, very soon, like right now, you have till November 11th, if I'm not mistaken, for Call of Duty. So you have a month where people can play the game, and the best you can hope for at that point is that the new Call of Duty comes out and flops on like the opening couple weeks, and people shift back to Xdefiant because they've had a month now to play it. If you don't release it and you try to truly like compete with a drop, if you can't release it November 5th.
Yeah.
Like we can't do that.
And then if you try to wait till the next COD is kind of dying, Modern Warfare 3 kind of dies, then you're talking about, a year from now almost, next May probably, before you really can. So
yeah, again,
I will say this though,
strain on developers.
Yeah,
that's what it is every single time.
Well, I will say this, and I just tweeted this out a little while ago today. But I was seeing a lot of negative comments around Xdefiant and Ubisoft and everything. And I will say this: we do work with some game developers as clients, and we know kind of some of the background that happens in the behind the scenes, all the testing, all the approvals they have to get. To your point, strain on just actually having people to do it. A lot of these small developers, which I know Ubisoft is not a small company, but a lot of these, small man teams that are doing these things, they're not just doing that, right? They have other obligations. I think a lot of people are being really harsh on them. Mark Rubin, he's been extremely vocal and transparent with people about here's where we are in the process, here's this, here's that. I think it was early last week, he tweeted out basically a long thread, basically just saying, look, guys, I know we're not there yet. I know we said it would be late summer. Just being super transparent. And I really appreciate that, just knowing, obviously, I want to play the game too. But I think a lot of people, are quick to just go to, well, screw them, whatever, when really, they're being more transparent than Activision or anybody else has really ever been.
You commented on a tweet earlier today that I noticed. So the model is release a busted game and then listen to feedback and fix it as you go. And
live
if you
service,
can fix it, live service. And that's kind of what's going on with a lot of these companies and games right now.
Release a half-finished game.
Xdefiant is saying like, now, I'll get to it in a second. Xdefiant is saying like, we want to finish this game before we release it.
Right.
Now, a lot of other companies have said that, and then they still release a busted game, and it becomes live service, something like Diablo. So Xdefiant taking their time, as opposed to, okay, we'll just release a busted game and fix it later.
Right.
you know, if you're to your point, I think people's expectations are getting a little ridiculous. Like, which one do you want? Would you rather have Xdefiant take their time and fix the game and get it right
and have a
before
good
releasing?
game? Yeah.
Or do you want the Activision model where you release something completely busted? You know, you're going to have slug shotguns shooting cross map and like nobody play tested this or somebody thought this was a good idea.
And you're going to be complaining about it on Twitter.
And you're going to cry about it and it's not going to get patched for a week and people are going to complain and this and that. And then by that time, people have dropped off the game. Which one would you have? You can't have both. And so,
and I think Xdefiant and Ubisoft knows if they do that, because they are a smaller team, a smaller game that's trying to compete with somebody like Call of Duty, Activision, they know that they can't release a half-busted game, or they really won't gain traction.
I think their entire model was to be different than that anyway.
Yeah.
They broke out to do something similar but different, and it would, in my opinion, it would revolve around giving you a complete product.
Right.
And so, yeah, they have to push back the deadline. Does it suck? Sure. But at the same time, like, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Which
no,
one
I
would you
agree.
want?
And that's why I tweeted out what I did and basically just saying, like, look, I know the hate and all the comments are coming from people who just want to play it, but you have to understand there's so much that happens behind the scenes you guys don't see. It's not as easy as just, oh, let me go change where this trash can sits on the map and move this here. It's not what's happening.
That's not at all.
So anyways, we're excited for Xdefiant. I hope it does launch soon. I do want to play it. I will be playing it when it does launch. But yeah, hopefully the test goes well.
Yeah, the test today is PC only as well, right?
Yeah, that's what it says. So I'm sure some console plebs are upset.
Yeah, pretty upset about that.
Okay, last piece of news, and then rolling into our first topic. CS2 dropped. CS2 dropped. I believe it was yesterday, maybe.
Exciting.
Super exciting. I feel like a ton of people were waiting on that. I never got big into CS. Maybe I'll have to play it at some point, but I've been watching a little bit of it.
I was about to say, I enjoyed
today.
watching it.
Looks great.
I just haven't played it a ton, but it does look good. Yeah, it's been fun to watch.
Definitely. Which is exciting. I mean, I think, the surrounding topic of what we're going to talk about today is, all the case openings and just kind of what that game has done for the gaming industry as a whole. And I feel like it's changed so much of the space. But let's get into the first topic surrounding that, which is, what do you see constantly with CS? You see people buying skins or buying cases to get skins and then trading them out, right? And selling them and basically this black market of trades going on for really, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Or millions, according to, the tweets that we've seen and everything like that.
Yeah, we have a tweet here. Jake Lucky's tweeting out yesterday. CS2 has been live for 40 minutes and already XQC has made $40 million from case openings. Now, I don't know what he's referencing there. He means that he's already just gotten a bunch of super nice skins and the total is worth that. Regardless, even if we're talking about $1 million, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild.
So the topic today is going to be surrounding the question mainly of, are in-game purchases deductions for content creators? Let's say somebody like XQC, right? Huge following, live streams all the time. He's going on there and he's spending thousands of dollars on these cases, which is in-game purchase, which for people like me and you, just coming out our own money. But for him, who's live streaming it and it's content, can he write those off?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, yeah. I mean, their entire, not his, because he streams so many different things. I'm not speaking directly to his situation. I would still take the deduction if I were him, but you have somebody like who their primary game is CSGO, right? So opening cases is just part of that. It's part of running their business and doing what they got to do. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to deduct the case openings and anything else any other microtransaction within the game where I'm paying for maybe not an advantage, but just a cosmetic or something like that. And that's what all the case openings are. Yeah, I'm going to deduct that.
And that would be with any game or anything.
It could be across any game, yeah.
Or even
Destiny 2, if you're buying in-game skins,
even if you were to go buy a new game to play on stream, right? Yeah. I mean, the game purchase, that is essentially your job is to do that.
Yeah, you're live streaming the games and what you're playing. And if you're a variety streamer and you're not just playing one game, you're playing multiple, then of course we're going to take the deduction for the games that you're purchasing, that you're playing on stream and using to draw an audience to your business, right?
Would you say there's any limit to how much they can write off?
The only probably, and this would be very hard to prove, so to speak. That being said, it's on them to prove to the IRS, not the other way around. But it would be very hard to prove if you purchase a game truly for personal reason, you play it off stream, you're not playing it for your audience. that's not technically going to be deductible. That being said, that's so far few in between. Like if they're purchasing a game and they're going to play it on stream. That's why they're getting it, right?
Well, and the reason why I mainly ask is because, I'm thinking about, let's say, a creator who it is a CS situation and they're buying tons of boxes, cases. Is there a limit, right? Could they spend $300,000 on cases in a year and deduct $300,000 worth of cases? I think in certain instances, and I'm obviously asking you, obviously I'm working on these same projects, here at Game On Financial as well. But we don't see situations like that happen often where there's an expense like that that's so almost egregious to the point of like, this may be a red flag to try to deduct 100% of this.
Sure.
I think a lot of the times, and I'll let you speak to it too, but a lot of the times it's something we want to be reasonable, right? Was this ordinary and necessary for your business? That's the true deduction phrase like the IRS uses, is this ordinary and necessary for your business? In a lot of ways, some of it probably is. Now, if you're getting upwards of, your business made $300,000 this year and you also spent $300,000 on cases, maybe we don't want to write off 100% of your income against the case openings. But it's situational.
It scales. Yeah, and it scales too. Like 300,000 seems outlandish to us, but you got to put it in context of, well, in this case, they're saying that XQC made 40 million, and we'll talk about the difference between making 40 million and making 40 million. But if he made 40 million and he spent 300,000 to get it, that does seem reasonable, right? 300,000 seems like a lot of money to spend. And if you told me like another content creator who makes 50,000 a year spent 300,000 on cases, that doesn't. Yeah,
it doesn't really add up.
Yeah, that's not going to really add up, because the first thing during an audit the IRS is going to ask is like, you made 50,000. Where did the rest of this money come from?
Right.
Like, how did you spend 300,000?
Right.
And if you did that year over year, they're going to say like, this isn't a business. You're throwing away money. Like you can't deduct it just because you spend it and you're calling it a business.
Right.
That's not how it works.
Right.
A business is out to earn a profit. In the IRS's eyes, a business is out to earn a profit. So at some point you got to show a profit, or it's not a business. You're just taking losses to reduce your taxes, which is not allowed.
Right.
If that's the sole purpose, you can't deduct things just to run a tax loss every year.
That's a really good point, and I don't want to derail us right now, but I do want to touch on what you just said of the whole goal here of a business is to make money. This is something we have to kind of, I feel like, rein our content creators back in on sometimes, and this is not even just content creator specific, but client specific, where I've had people say like, well, how can we reduce it more? Can we get more write-offs? What can I do to get that number down more? And sometimes I have to kind of reframe them and tell them like, hey, the goal here is to make money. Now you are going to owe taxes on that money, but if your business year over year is showing zero net income, that's not good. Yeah. Like that's not the point. And if me and you, who are accountants working with these business owners, if all of our clients have zero net income year over year, we're going to be out some clients here pretty soon, because that's the whole point here. So I think you make a good point here. Is like the IRS is going to be looking at those and wanting to see some income.
Yep. Absolutely. So it's just so interesting, man. I mean, opening cases and this, like, it's always been part of the game and part of the CS, that culture. But you think about it, like, it was Tim the Tatman, Cloaksy, Ninja. Were they on like a private jet? They were flying somewhere. They were going somewhere doing something, and they were like on
Nate Shot's wedding, I think is what it was.
Yeah. They were doing it at the wedding, but even before then, trying to get to the wedding, they were like, bro, they had like the Steam Deck or whatever it was pulled up. They were just buying skins, and it's like they were buying cases. And
at that point, it's kind of like gambling. Honestly, that's what they were doing.
That's the thing, man. It's so crazy because it is almost like gambling. And then you have the cases, you get the skins, and in this XQC deal, in the XQC tweet that Jake made, you make this money. You have these skins worth this amount of money, and then you go and sell them, right? And now it's like it seems like gambling, but then it seems like when you're selling it, it's an asset, like a capital asset. But then it's also like you're doing it if you're a content creator within your business. So is it a business? Is that business income compared to capital gain income? And like the nuance surrounding all of that is so crazy to me.
Yeah, so let's dive into that a little bit deeper while we have time. So you just mentioned a couple of things there that I feel like the viewer may not understand. So you said capital asset, ordinary income, and business expense. So explain the difference of what is a capital asset, or what is capitalizing an expense versus just a direct write-off business expense. What's the difference in those two things?
When you're thinking capital asset, a lot of times you're thinking stocks, bonds, stuff like that. So basically an investment into something. And so stocks are the easiest example. You go on Robinhood, you buy a stock in Coca-Cola, whatever.
Sure.
When you sell that, you're going to have a capital gain or loss. And the capital gains and losses are taxed at a different rate. You have 0%, 15%, 20% capital gains rates. Jamarian, check that on that last bracket, maybe 25%. But they're taxed differently compared to ordinary income, your general business income. Mm-hmm. That's taxed at ordinary rates, and that's the normal marginal bracket that people are used to. Sure. Your first $10,000 is taxed at 10%, so on and so forth. It works all the way down or all the way up. So that's ordinary compared to capital. And then you mentioned business expenses. So like when you're buying these cases, buying those cases, are we going to treat that as an investment, capital, or are we going to treat it as a business expense, ordinary?
Right.
The short answer for me right now is this is a topic where I need to do a lot of research in, because the selling all these skins and everything, you can do it on a third-party website provider. That's going to come across in PayPal, and when it comes across the books and we see it, we got to know where to put it. Does it go on the balance sheet as a capital asset? Does it go on the P&L as an expense, the profit and loss as an expense? I may be speaking a foreign language to anybody who's watching this right now, and it sounds crazy. It's crazy for us because this just isn't what used to happen. Now, the good news is there's been so much. I say so much. There's been a lot of regulation around NFTs as of late, and this is in effect. It's similar to an NFT.
Sure.
So we would be able to find pretty quickly the rulings on how to treat these things, but.
Well, to your point, we haven't had the situation specifically happen where we've had somebody had a extremely large gain, so to speak, on one of these sales of a skin of an in-game item that basically they just owned the rights to. Obviously, it's inside of a game; they don't actually have it; it's just there. And then they're, like you said, they're selling it through a third-party software. So we haven't had it happen. We hadn't had to treat it, but we were talking about it earlier. Just with CS2 dropping and talking about it. And while a lot of these people, it is kind of said, it's like, oh man, he spent, let's say, $1,000 on cases and he just got a knife worth $50K. Well, he doesn't now have $50K. He just has the knife unless he sells it to someone else. And so what you make is a good point there on kind of the difference of how we would categorize that income. And I think to maybe the creator who would be saying like, oh, that was just from a skin I bought or whatever and sold. It's like, if that money's coming through PayPal and PayPal is now reporting a lot of that stuff, there's a chance that's going to be on a 1099.
Yep. And
now that's getting reported to the IRS. They're going to see that and they're going to want you to report that income. So it's not a situation of like, oh, I just sold some in-game skin and that's money I don't have to report.
So that's the point is, I think, and that's what the reason we have this podcast right here, the reason hopefully J-Man breaks this down into a short at some point is like that money is going to be taxable at some point.
For sure.
And we need to discuss, you can't just say like, oh, I just sold this skin and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, so we have so many consequences here. One, is it capital? Is it ordinary? We just discussed that. Two, what triggers you having to recognize that gain or that income when you sell it, right? So it can get really confusing when Jake says XQC just made $40 million. Like, he has $40 million worth of in-game skins sitting in his game. Right. Until he sells those, there's no income being reported. Or is there, right? That's going to be the question for a lot of people. Like, oh, I just got this skin. Is that taxable, this and that? And it's like, we have to figure that out. It's not just, oh, I just sold some skins, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we need to know that.
Yeah.
As the accountant, we need to know that. That's a huge, taxable consequence that could be coming down the road.
And to your point, it's it's a situation, we could relate this to other assets to help people understand, in the case of like a house, right? Someone buys like an actual real property in a home, and let's say they buy it for $300,000 and they sell it a few years later for $400,000. Okay, $100,000 gain. In the case of, let's say, a stock, where let's say they buy a stock, which would be similar to like an in-game case. Yep. They buy a stock for $15. The company takes off, or maybe it's crypto. Buy it for $15. The company takes off, and they do sell it for $400,000 or $500,000, like one of these skins, right? They bought it for super cheap, and you're talking about extremely large gains, right? Because if you do capitalize it and it becomes an asset and now it's capital gains, you bought something for $15, or maybe the case cost $700. I know some CS cases cost a few $100s. You bought it for $700 and you just sold it for $400,000. That is a extremely large gain we're talking about here. And I think for a creator who made, an XQC, I'm sure has a good accountant, but for even for smaller creators who maybe aren't making XQC money, it's something important to realize.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head, and those little things like that. I mean, it's a big deal, but little things like that you're just like, oh yeah, I sold that, whatever. Like, that can throw off a tax projection. That can throw off so many things if your accountant doesn't know. And the problem with some of this is if these cases, when you go to sell a skin and all that, you bought a case, you got a skin, you go to sell it. If that runs through your PayPal and we're doing the bookkeeping, we'll probably see it, right? We're going to see it. What is this? And you tell us, blah, 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 that's fine. But if you do this in a way where we don't see it and the government doesn't see it, you may be thinking like, oh, well, I got away with one. Like, no, if you get audited, you're not only going to have to pay, if it's treated as gain, capital gain, or ordinary income, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to pay the rate, whatever it is on that.
Yep.
You're also going to get hit with penalties, interest, all this stuff. And at that point in time, you're really going to, one, be wishing you hadn't have done it like that. You just reported it. And two, I pray you still have the money.
Yeah.
Because another problem with a lot of our content creators is that money comes in, especially in the beginning, if they're not used to kind of blowing up.
Yep.
And they go and spend it. And what we hear this often, and it sucks, is we get to tax time, we have a brand new creator come on with us, and we tell them what their tax bill is, because this is the first year they've had a good year.
Yep.
First year they've ever thought to get an accountant. They're like, I had a good year, I need an accountant. But the money they've already spent. Tax time comes, they're like, I don't have that I don't have the $50,000. I wasn't expecting that. Like,
how many times has that happened?
Especially this year with the amount of new clients we've had, but that happens across the board. I mean, you take it to other accountants, they're seeing the same thing we are. I mean, it sucks, but it's just part of it. Like,
definitely
part of running your business, man, is taxes, whether you want it to be that way or not. You can't just avoid them. It's not always about reducing them. At some level, you've got to understand tax to be able to run your business, and we can help with that greatly. These cases, this is a situation that's going to burn a lot of people because they're not thinking about the taxable consequence.
Definitely.
That's a long-winded way of saying all that, but XQC, that $40 million he made, whether he's actually sold those skins or not, he's probably not going to go tell his accountant, like, here's what happened, right? Because to him, it is just like, this is just an in-game thing, right? I just sold some skins, whatever.
Yeah.
Most people aren't thinking like that. Maybe he knows because he's been in the game long enough, but most people aren't thinking that way.
The IRS is going to get their piece. One way or the other.
One way or another, bro. If you get audited, they're going to slam you for it, and it's going to suck. But
Definitely. No, it's interesting. And I mean, to kind of put a wrap on that conversation, I think it's important because a lot of creators, you see them, whether it's CS or maybe it's Apex, right? They're buying packs, trying to get Apex packs, trying to get an heirloom. This is now a pretty common thing in multiple games. They're getting write-offs for that stuff, obviously. And I think that should just be a known thing. I think any creators who may be watching this podcast and aren't sure if you definitely should be.
If you're really unsure, reach out to us.
Definitely reach out. Yeah. And I mean, I think, as the CS situation keeps going, some people will definitely have some capital gains probably.
Before you shift topics, really quick, J-Man, correct me if I'm wrong, but Joseph looks kind of big now. He looks swole, bro. You said you've been going to the gym, it's been consistent. You look like you've been working out a little bit.
I'm just lifting kettlebells.
I should have worn the jacket. I'm glad I wore the jacket to cover up. So kettlebells and bands, that's what
that's all I do. Calisthenics.
We haven't worked out. Before we shift, because we do have a little bit of time here.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about the gym drama that's been going on with you and I.
Oh, so yeah, this is a pretty good story.
Great, and I hate to cut the podcast here to do this, but this was hilarious to me, and we didn't talk about it earlier. So please tell the story.
This is a good story because if you know me, which you probably don't, I like to go to the gym and I like to kind of just put on the headphones, sometimes a hoodie, and I just like to train. That's my time to kind of lock in and get it done. And I don't really like to talk to people at the gym. I'm a pretty outgoing person, extroverted person, and I do like to talk to people. But the gym's not the place for it. It's never been for me, and I just like to lock in and do my thing. Garrett is a little bit more outgoing at the gym probably than I am. And so he's, he talks to some people and says what's up or whatever. Well, for probably about the past year or maybe 2 years, Garrett and I have worked out together. And this past tax season, because just schedules really was the only reason, we stopped training together at the same times. We'll still get a lift in when we can. But I started going in the mornings, and Garrett still goes in the afternoon. Well, without me and Garrett really knowing it, I guess, apparently, all Garrett's gym buddies that he talks to realized that we were not training together anymore, right?
They're not just they're people that know both Joseph and I.
They've seen us.
We
at the
go
gym.
consistently. They've seen us together. They know Joseph, and Joseph is being when you walk in, you say like, "What's up?" Blah blah blah. But when you start working out, now you're kind of like shut off. But when you first initially walk in,
I'm not like rude.
Yeah,
I'm
you're not rude. Yeah. So,
but the point is, without us really even paying attention, people noticed that we trained together.
Yeah.
And then we stopped training together. And really, I feel like a lot of people just stopped seeing me because I'm there at 7 a.m. So they're just, they don't go at 7 a.m. So
it's empty at 7 a.m. Like,
yeah,
there's
no one's there. Yeah. So they stopped seeing me. And just funny enough, over the past, I would say probably 3 or 4 months, Garrett keeps getting these questions like, hey, where's your buddy? He's not working out anymore or whatever. And then, no one really asked me because they don't want to talk to me, but they keep asking Garrett, like, where's your buddies at? And it's funny enough, I see one of the guys that I see at the gym, and I see him other places as well. I see him out last weekend, and he goes, hey, man, you and your buddy just not working out together anymore? He's like, I'm like, oh, yeah, we just go at different times. And he was like, okay, like, I thought maybe you guys got into like a fight or something,
The day before the weekend that Joseph is referring to when he saw this guy, I went, and this was last week, I went to the gym, and I had just been cleared. So I had an eye infection last week, and my left eye was swollen shut, and it was purple, it was bruised up. And I go to the gym as soon as I'm cleared to go, and my eye is still swollen at this point. So people are kind of giving me funny looks. And then I saw him there, and he kind of looked at me, and he said, are you and Joseph just like not working out together? Same thing. He asked me, and I was like, no, he goes in the mornings. We don't have time. Yeah. Like our schedules don't line up. Yeah. But I would love to work out with him.
And these guys are probably just thinking like we just are giving them like a lame excuse. Yeah.
And then you see him that weekend, and I've got now a bruised eye and everything. He probably thinks we got into it.
And I've known that guy longer than you have. So when I talked to him, I think he actually wanted to ask me like, hey, like what's the deal? Yeah. And he's like, oh, I thought y'all must have got into it. I was like, dude, no. Like I was like, Garrett's one of my best friends. I work with him. I see him every day. And he's like, oh, okay. He's like, that makes sense, I guess. But
nah, y'all was scrapping.
Yeah. Throwing hands.
Yeah, that would be ugly for Joseph, by the way. Just I want everybody on this.
All right, buddy. Jump across this table. Anyways, that is a funny anecdote.
We literally keep to ourselves. Even when we go, I will tell you this, Joseph's not lying. Even we've gone together and not said a word to each other at some workouts. But when we go, we do talk a lot of the time. And even then, we still keep to ourselves. And it's interesting because like one of the reasons we do that is one, we don't have a ton of time just throughout our day, and so we're trying to get it in and be done. And also like gym drama, stuff like that, as it is a real thing, and like we don't.
It's also just it's a pet peeve of ours to see people at the gym who are just like on your phone, a machine, and they're just talking.
Yeah, like it's annoying because they'll sit there for hours.
Yeah, it's like we just came to the gym to work out and leave.
In and out, we're trying to work out and leave. And the thing is like we've tried to stay out of the quote unquote drama by literally like we just show up, we just work out and we leave. That's it. And somehow we still got involved in it without even doing anything.
It's so funny, man. Everybody's asking. It's like I didn't even know these people knew who I was, but apparently they do.
Yeah, they've asked me, dude, it sucks because I have to tell them, no, our schedules don't line up. Like, you used to come in here with a buddy. Does he still work?
So then on, I think it was Tuesday of this week, we both went at the same time, and we actually happened to be training different things, so we couldn't train together. And I told him, I was like, let's go in there and just pretend mad at each other.
Yeah, be pissed.
Shove you out of the way.
I'm doing legs on squat, and I'm in a squat rack, and you're over there like hitting bench, and like they're looking at us like these guys must be pissed at each other.
It's so silly, man.
It's ridiculous. But that was really funny.
Can we get back on topic?
I'm happy to get back on topic. We're at 41 minutes, so we've still got plenty of time.
No,
so let's knock out the rest of this, and then Joseph's got a couple of calls to get prepared for. But yeah,
all good. Yeah,
shift us back.
So main topic of the day, and this is surrounding some stuff that happened last week, is Kick. So we've talked a lot about Kick. We've brought up Kick versus Twitch. We've talked about all the benefits to Kick and why so many people are seeing success. We've talked about kind of the pitfalls there as well.
Yeah.
But last week there was a situation happen with a streamer. kind of a, we won't get into the details of it, but basically streaming something that was, you know, inappropriate.
Sure.
Yeah, your opinion could be what it may, but a lot of people took pretty poorly to it. And the thing that I feel like kind of added to it was one of the owners, Eddie of Stake and of Kick, was in this live streamers chat and was commenting emojis and donating. And I think, you know, from a public perspective, egging it on.
Yep.
And this blew up, right? So I think it was maybe a week ago. We didn't have the podcast last week, but since then, there's been a ton of talk about it on Twitch or on Twitter, excuse me, basically going around people super upset saying that this person needs to be banned. Actually, quite a bit of people leaving the platform saying they won't be streaming there anymore. Want to know your thoughts on it. And then I think we should get into a little bit about just how this looks from a creator standpoint, and then we can just give our opinions.
Yeah, there are a lot of thoughts on all of it. First and foremost, I think like that what actually happened was, you know, in the moment, maybe that seemed like it would be a funny idea or something like that, but honestly, it did seem kind of like it was in poor taste. It was just like, it seemed ridiculous. And then I'm not going to describe everything that happened, but the girl who was involved with it, the lady, was trying to leave and the guy was preventing her. Like, all that is just like, that just seems uncalled for. It seems ridiculous. I don't want to like overdo it. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but that in and of itself, just kind of, like I said, distasteful.
Mm-hmm.
Separating that from the reaction that everybody gave, a lot of the reactions I think are justified in saying, like, you know, especially considering that Eddie was in chat doing what he was doing, blah, blah. Like, that's not a good look. Like, okay, I could agree with that. Not a good look at all, in my opinion. I think it's, you know, you're running the company and everything like that. I understand a big reason that Kick is doing so well is because Eddie is involved, right? And that's something that Twitch has not had in the past, or any other streaming platform, is the owner and the one running everything is very involved.
Very active.
That can be a good thing. That can be a really bad thing.
Right.
And so that, again, not a good look. What bothered me the most, and you could talk about it too, because I know you have thoughts on this.
You're good. No, you're good.
What frustrated me watching all of this was people who streamed on maybe Twitch, they stayed loyal to the Purple app, just absolutely violating people who were streaming on Kick, who had nothing to do with this event or anything like that. These people on Kick hadn't tweeted the first thing about it, and if they did, some of them even said like, hey, yeah, this wasn't cool, blah, blah, that's it. And people on Twitch just took this holier-than-thou mantra approach and blasted anybody for streaming on Kick. How could you stream on this platform, this and that? And you and I have talked about this, so I know you want to say your piece. I don't want to steal it from you, but I mean, that is, to me, after everything that Twitch has done in the past, people are so soon do they forget what the, you know, for lack of a better term, the bullshit that Twitch has pulled in the past. It is incredible to me that people can forget and then just not even blasting Kick. They blasted the people who streamed on Kick. They blasted these other creators who are, they make their money the same way people who stream on Twitch do.
Right.
And we're going to act like this is Kick's fault. That would be, you know, you work at a company of 1,000 people and the CEO gets charged for sexual assault, something like that. And you get mad at somebody who goes into work the next day at that company. Like the CEO...
Because now you're being judged for what the company owner did. Yeah,
and the company owner, as bad and wrong as that may have been, that doesn't have anything to do with you paying your bills working at that company. Right. It doesn't necessarily reflect your decision to continue to provide for your family that way, because what that CEO did, yeah, he should be tried for it and all that, blah, 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 that's fine. That doesn't reflect the entire 1,000 employees at the company. You know, it was a bad apple in an entire batch.
Well, I think
that's the case here.
And I think what you're basically discussing is support, right? I mean, there's this inevitable line of, if you do this, you support this. Yeah. And people are tying these things together when sometimes they don't go together. Now, I will say, if, you know, you are defending Kick till you die, and no matter what they do, even in this case, you're defending them and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Then you are supporting it. And I don't disagree if from the other side, I'm not saying me, but I'm just saying if someone from the other side is now saying, you know, coming at you saying, how could you support that or whatever. At that point, you truly are outspoken in supporting it. That's different. But to your point of maybe let's say a streamer who streams on Kick who just never commented on it and just kept streaming there, or maybe they did comment and said, you know, this is uncalled for, whatever. I don't support it. I don't condone it.
Right.
But they are still going to stream there. It is kind of weird how people immediately take to judgment and feel that it's their right. I think so many people are looking to justify their own opinions. And so they're looking for events just like this to justify why they stayed on Twitch, or to justify leaving, or to justify the drama. And I think that's turned into the culture a little bit of the live streaming space, which I don't like.
I don't like it.
I sent you a tweet last week we were talking about, and it was basically surrounding, or maybe it might have been early this week, basically surrounding how the live stream industry has become so far on, you know, what the Kai Cenats of the world do, and what, you know, Falsey and these guys they've pushed it so far to what's just the most extreme thing I can do.
Yeah.
What's the most extreme thing that will get clicks? It doesn't matter about morals. It doesn't matter about values. It doesn't matter about right or wrong. It's just what's going to get the clicks and the eyes. And I agree. I think that is what it's come to, and it sucks because you still have genuine people creating content on YouTube and on TikTok and these other platforms that's truly good content.
Yeah.
That's getting what they deserve, and some people aren't getting the views they deserve. And then you have people doing stuff like this. That's just, it's crossed the line. It's no common sense. It's in a lot of cases wrong, and it's getting the clicks.
Yeah.
And so why wouldn't they do it, you know?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I will say, I think from a platform standpoint, with Kick being as new as it is, listen, in business, there are certain things, in business and in life, there are certain things that are clear right and wrong. Like, you know, like, you shouldn't do this, right? You can't murder people. Obvious, you can't do it, okay? So don't do that. To your point, people are trying to push the limits.
Where's that line? Let me get as close to it as I can.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases, especially with young folks who are streaming, because it's mostly a young community, they don't know where that line is exactly. You can't pinpoint that line. You can't say, like, the line is right here. In our business, not to do with anything immoral, but there are certain things that we do that we're trying to figure out a process. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. I just know it's going to be somewhere in this range.
Ballpark,
okay?
yeah.
And you could apply that to something that's morally charged, like this situation is like, I can look at that and say, that's not right. And maybe they didn't know. It's like, okay, now we do, right? So Kick goes in, and they now there's new moderation, new things being changed so that doesn't happen again. That would almost be forgivable, not the action happening in itself. That sucks. But now, okay, now make a change, right? You've got to give companies time to fix these things, because to pretend that Twitch didn't do this in the past, I mean, there was porn on Ninja's channel the day after he left.
Yeah.
You know, there's literally been so many things on Twitch where it was the same exact thing, and everybody hated the Purple app at that time. People kept working on it. People kept doing it. And now Kick, it has happened with Kick. And this is something new. They have, you know, an escort basically come on, and there's like these weird, like, this weird energy about the situation that happened. Like, okay, you look at it like, that's clearly not a good thing for the platform itself. Change it. Fix it. I'm okay with all of that as long as we make the changes that are necessary, because that's going to continue to happen for any business. Yeah. But to literally stream on Twitch and yell out over here, Kick is bad, like, all right, now. No, hold on, like, pump the brakes. I don't think...
And I think a lot of people, that is kind of just the response I saw was, you know, you do you, I'm going to do me. And then there's a whole lot of people who are basically saying exactly what you said, which is just, I just want to see the change, you know, basically ban this person or whatever, which I think to date, I don't think Kick has banned anyone. So I doubt they're going to. This is the tweet that Kick put out basically in response, which is not really an apology tweet, but I'm going to read it for you guys, showing kind of their response to it. There's incredible untapped potential in what live streaming has to offer. We are firm believers that the greatest days of live streaming are yet to come. With that said, community and public safety cannot be compromised in the process of making content. We are continuously learning where this balance sits and are making changes daily. We appreciate our community for the continuous feedback, both good and the bad. We'll keep you updated on the upcoming changes to community guidelines and subsequent enforcement measures. Now, to me, that's saying we're going to make change. It's coming. It's not here yet. But I feel like that second part right there is kind of what we were just harping on. With that said, community and public safety cannot be compromised in the process of making content. I think that's the key is it's like, well, they're saying right there where they stand on it. It's like, we're not going to stand for public safety essentially being at risk. But I think that's the key is it's like, man, if you feel like at any point you are pushing that line just for the content, that's why you're doing it, just don't, man. Just don't do it. You know, it's not worth it. And I think to your point, for the young community who is leading the charge on a lot of this stuff, it sucks to see that's what's happening. And, you know, we hate it because we have a lot of creators working on Kick right now, seeing a lot of success there. We've been high on Kick since the beginning. We've been saying, you know, here's the flaws and the things they're going to have to overcome. But here's all the good things they're doing. We talked about the first class a few weeks ago. Super exciting. All the contracts they're going to give out, hopefully. But yeah, it sucks to see bumps in the road like this. I think it will be just truly a bump in the road, and we'll move on. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if it's anything like Twitch, it'll be a bump in the road, and we'll just move on because that's what's happened with Twitch
for sure.
To date. No, super interesting topic because this scenario was one where, like, clearly, well, I say clearly, it's obviously it's not that obvious if somebody did it, but this was a line being crossed, and so I don't know. Twitter gets so like toxic, man. I literally hate getting on there when something like this happens because like this is a situation where something bad happened. There could be some form of punishment, whatever. One, I'm not the judge to administer that punishment. I don't think anybody should get on there and start calling for heads to be rolled and stuff like that. That seems so ridiculous to me that somebody with 16 followers on Twitter now has the answer to everything. Like, calm down, bro. Like, and especially if you're like, well, Twitch never, like, all right, like. Let's not be ridiculous here.
Yeah, and I think Kick still is too, building out their team, right? I don't think that they have a huge team there. You know, a company like Twitch, who has gone through its fair share of employees, I do think they have more structures built out, and obviously we get guideline updates over there all the time. With Kick being so new, you know, it really the first 6 months of Kick was the Wild Wild West. I think in basically the second 6 months, I think it has, you know, they have started to enforce some guidelines that they've had and put stuff out and do updates, and they've been great about it. But things like this take time. You know, they're not able to just say, yep, banned, gone. You know, you can't make quick decisions in business. Quick decisions in business are usually bad decisions. And that's how they're going to approach it. They're going to go ahead.
No. I agree with you. Quick decisions. And I didn't say this earlier, but we talked in our meeting previously to the folks who literally, as soon as all this happened, you mentioned some people left Kick as a platform. There were creators I saw tweet out that basically said, yeah, Kick, you know, I thought Kick was going to be a place for my community, and I'm wrong, blah, blah, blah. We're going to leave this and that because of this incident. And they're apologizing to their community. And to me, that was frustrating because, like, this had nothing to do with your community or anything like that. And if you're leaving Kick, now if they're leaving Kick and they're just not going to stream anymore, then that's their prerogative. But if you're leaving Kick, insinuating you're going to go back to Twitch because of this event, I mean, come on now. Like, again, bro, Twitch is not like Twitch does not have a halo sitting around it because because of what they've done in the past. Like, that is the silliest response, and that is a quick decision. They think their community expects outrage and this and that. So them as a creator, now they have to go and I'm pissed.
Stand on the high hill.
This has nothing to do with you. Like, this had none of this. The only concerning part of all of this, it wasn't even Ice Poseidon doing it. Yeah, he should. All that situation, obviously they were wrong. Eddie being involved because he is truly the one leading everything at Kick, and so Eddie being involved, that's the only reason I could see you saying, like, I don't feel good about this. Outside of that, that should be Ice Poseidon's punishment to bear. You shouldn't be like, oh, my community's not going to stand for this. Like, stand for what? Like, he's a creator on the platform. That has nothing to do with you.
He's responsible for his decisions.
Yeah, he's responsible. He should have to suffer the consequences. What are you apologizing for?
In the world we live in today, man, people are so quick to forget. I would almost guarantee give it till Christmas, people won't even remember this happened. And I think, to your point, as long as there's change coming from it, that's what people want to see. And hopefully that does happen, because no, I don't think content like that should be on the platform. But again, that's between the creator and the platform. And, you know, I'm not going to, I had 4 kick streams pulled up this morning supporting streamers that stream there. I'm not going to not go on there because that happened. I'm not, you know, and for all the people giving their personal judgment, obviously you're entitled to your opinion, but I definitely think it's a bump in the road and it sucks. I'll just say this, there's been a lot worse things on that platform. So if you're just new to hearing about it, there's been a lot of other things on that platform that are way worse that people don't even remember already. And it's been like 8 months ago. So it's interesting. I think Kick will come around, hopefully. What else you got? That was the last part of the topics I had. Do we have any questions? Do we have anything we want to bring up? I know we talked about travel a little bit at the beginning of the episode of stuff coming up for us. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. We'll also try to probably factor in, and I don't know that we're going to do this. I don't know that's set in stone, but Jamari mentioned a good thing this morning, and I think you were in there too when we were talking about it. Basically, every podcast harping on one type of deduction. So we talked a lot about today, you know, the CSGO cases, and that was kind of both income and deductions, and, you know, deductibility of purchasing in-game skins, stuff like that. Maybe trying to work into every podcast some type of deduction, some kind of, you know, something actionable that you can actually take back and truly like learn and grow from. So having one of those every week, I like
deduction of the week.
Deduction of the week, sure, call it that. So yeah, outside of that, really, I mean, that's probably the only thing we've done different the past 2 weeks, I would say, or the past 2 podcasts. I don't have any other announcements. I do want to reiterate, we will be at TwitchCon. So if you're just joining either the stream or you're just coming into the YouTube video at this point in time, come see us. Let us know you're going to be there. We would love to meet and greet with as many people as possible. It's a business trip for us. So as soon as we land until the day that we leave and fly out, we're trying to meet as many people as possible.
Sure. I'm excited, man.
My biggest thing is I would love, while we're there, to obviously work out if we can. And if we can work out with any of the creators that we follow, enjoy talking to, any clients, whatever, that would be dope for me. But yeah, we'll probably try and fit a workout in if I had it my way.
We got to film some content while we're there. We're taking the camera.
Yeah, we're taking the camera. Probably, the camera.
You guys going to see me walking down the street. Yo, what's going on, guys?
With his new iPhone 15 that he bought with the company card. We'll be there. Obviously, super excited about that. Again, we fly out Thursday. We'll be there Thursday night. We fly back here Monday, so we'll be there the whole weekend. Super excited. Outside of that, I don't have any other announcements. Do you? You don't have anything?
Nope. Follow the socials. Links will be in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. We are really trying to grow the channels, so support if you like the content. Share it with your friend.
Yeah. And if you have tax questions, reach out. Please DM us.
Drop a comment.
Comments.
Yeah, drop a comment. We'll be glad to respond to the comments if you guys have extra things to add on. So
cool. Outside of that, I think that's it. We're going to wrap up this. Still coming up with a name for the podcast, so I don't know what to say yet. It's the GOF Podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification.
See you next time.
See you next time.